Now, love is not letting them have anything they want, anytime they want, letting them act how they want. That's not love. That's almost child abuse, if you ask some psychologist. So what is love? Letting them know that you love them. They can feel it. Man, we can feel it when people love us, just like the Father loves us. I know God loves me. I always wanted my mom and dad to love me that way, but as a parent, I did get to do that. I'm Scott Farrell. Welcome to What's Your Problem? What are we doing on the show? We solve problems. It's that simple. You send me a problem and I'll solve it for you on camera. How's that? Is that pretty fair? Now, today's problem is something that was given to me this week. I travel quite a bit now, and I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm from that area, and I was talking to somebody and they were like, hey man, can you give some tips for single parents? So today's topic is tips for single parents. How do you know if you're a single parent? Well, there's only one of you in the house that's a parent, and then you have kids. So many people experience that, especially in the United States. If you look at the stats, I think the last stat in the United States was a little over 12 million single moms, and I don't remember how many dads there were. It's easier to find stats on moms and dads. I just looked that up. But I married a single mother. Being a single parent, whether male or female, is difficult. Why? Well, it's a responsibility shared by one person, not two. And so many times, the divorce right now in the United States depends on which stat you use. So let's go with that. I think it was 57%. And I'm not talking about first, but by the time you get to that second marriage, of divorce. That means somebody's single and somebody's single. So many people don't know what to do when that takes place. So many times now we have so many kids born out of wedlock, especially in this country. They don't know what to do because they're still babies themselves. So I'm going to lay out a 1, 2, 3, 4 for you so you can do that. So you might want to write these down, and especially if you've got somebody that is a single parent and you know them and you want to help them, you might want to transfer this to them or send them to YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, or any of the other various places that we've landed. Also, you can go to our website, wippodcast.com. We've got resources for folks there also. All right, let's get into this. Single parenting. Parenting in itself is not like overly easy. Jim Brewer's one of my favorite comedians. And he talks about everybody tries to tell you that parenting's different. Your life will change. Once that baby comes, you can't do the same things you used to. Yeah, true. It's funny because as a pastor, I am a pastor during the weekends and all week. I try to talk to young couples, young married couples. I talk to them about kids. I did their premarital talking with them. And now I'm doing, pre-children talking. And unless you've been through it, you don't really understand what's going to change. You're like, it can't be that hard. It's not, nothing's going to change. I'm going to do the stuff I really wanted to do. I'm still going to do it. And then about 3 months into it, you go, oh my gosh, they tried to tell me. I had no idea. All right, so let's start with number one. Number one important thing about being a single parent. You got to know who you are. Yeah. I'll say that right. It got nothing to do with the kids. You got to know who you are. Why are you here? What's the reason you're here? What is the so-called purpose? Now, if you're a believer, your purpose is to spread the love of Christ and to get people to understand who Jesus is and on and on. So that's easy, right? Normally, your purpose involves your skill set. What is it that you could go pro in? What is the skill set? For me as a kid, I performed. What am I doing now, right? So it was a skill set that I already possessed. I just turned it into a profession. Maybe it's something outside. Maybe it's something inside. Maybe it's building something. Maybe it's tearing something up. As a child, I was really good at that one. So it's who am I? Where am I going? Am I going to want to get married again? Have I handled the damage previously done to me from my childhood and my previous relationship? Have I handled that relationship? Am I dealing with the feelings? All these things have to be handled before you can actually be a decent parent. Why? Because you got to know who you are. I teach this all the time. I do weekend seminars on this. The things you have to do for you before you can be an effective parent. Those are those things. Who am I? What do I want? Who am I in Christ? What does the future hold? What do I want my future to be? If I do get remarried, what are the characteristics I'm looking for? What's my ideal profession? What kind of money do I want to make? What kind of money do I have to support children? All these decisions need to be handled if you're going to be an effective parent. Now, the single part just means there's one of you. But to be an effective parent, these things have to be handled whether you're married or single. So many times I ask people, have you sat down and done this? And they'll go, well, no, I haven't had time. No, we have time for whatever we want to have time for. You didn't see the importance of it, or you weren't disciplined enough to do it because you didn't think it was important. Yeah, so we have time for whatever we want to have time for. Like the tea I'm drinking during our time. I had time to brew this before we started. So you like my cup? My wife got me this cup. It says, I'd love to stay and chat, but I'd be lying. My wife knows her husband so well. If you know me, I'm a friendly person. If you ever get to meet me out in public, I'm a friendly person. I just don't like to chat a lot. It's not personal. I'm just not a chatty Cathy. My wife likes it because she talks more than me, so we don't have to combat when it comes to talking. I just let her take the reins and we go with that. All right, so back to this. See, I'm not a single parent. I figured out how to marry a single parent. We understood our weaknesses and strengths, right? So you got to know who you are, where you're going, why you were created, why God created you, and what you're going to do going forward. Now let's get to the kids. The kids are going to do whatever you do. The kids are going to observe everything you do and everything you say. Sometimes as parents, we forget kids have eyes and ears and they observe everything. Remember, all of human behavior is popped into the subconscious. I'm giving the Cliff Notes on this because you've heard me say this so many times. 0 to 7, everything we observe through our 5 senses from 0 to 7, we will do the rest of our lives. You can look this up on the internet. So if you look back at your mom and dad, people will say, well, I inherited their behavior. Well, no, it's not genetic. It's just from an observation standpoint. Or I this, or I that, or my mom liked this, and I do this. It's all observable through the 5 senses. So if you look at it that way, to be an effective single parent or parent, you got to make sure you get rid of all that because you don't want to pass bad things to your kids. Nobody does that on purpose. I've yet to meet a parent that said, I wanted to make sure my kid ended up in prison, on drugs, and pregnant by 15. Nobody does that, right? But we don't know what we don't know, so we need to fix that now. So I'm addressing that with you now. Maybe you didn't know any of this, and it's my job here, what's your problem, to fix that for you. So since we know they observe everything, they hear it, see it, taste it, smell it, and feel it, we've got to make sure we're together. We're a whole person. All right, so what's it really mean to be a parent? All right, so I've got to teach people something. So it's my job to get the little ones ready from 0 to 18. And at 18, ideally, they leave home and go lead their lives independently of me other than love. All right, so if I know that, to be an effective single parent or parent in general, I got to get it to work because what's it going to take for that little one at the age of 18 to leave my home and be independent of me outside of love? Now, they don't need to be independent of me away from love. I love them. They love me. But they've got to go live the life that they're supposed to, that God's given them. And it's my job to make sure they're independent of me by then. So what do I got to do? Well, number one thing, I think, and a lot of experts would agree with me being one of those experts, one of the biggest things you have to instill in kids, one is love, right? So you got to love them. They've got to see your love. They've got to feel your love. They've got to taste your love. Now, love is not letting them have anything they want, anytime they want, letting them act how they want. That's not love. That's almost child abuse if you ask some psychologist. So what is love? Letting them know that you love them. They can feel it. Man, we can feel it when people love us, just like the Father loves us. I know God loves me. I always wanted my mom and dad to love me that way, but as a parent, I did get to do that. So you let them know that you love them. Now, if they screw up, you let them know that you're going to correct it, but you love them in the screw up, right? All right, so that's number one. Now, number two, I think is probably one of the most important, and right now for Generation Z, it seems like the one thing that's missing. I think this probably started with millennials. And who's to blame? Look in the mirror. If you're a baby boomer, it's our fault. It's self-discipline. A life without discipline is not a very good life. Kids have to have discipline. But where do they learn self-discipline? Yeah, they look at you. If you don't have any discipline, if you fly off the handle, if you're always emotional, if you always handle everything emotionally, or if you're a workaholic and never have time for them, see, there's got to be discipline there. What are you disciplined at doing? Can you get up and go to work? Can you get to meetings on time? Can you get to places on time? Do you watch what you eat? And when I say watch what you eat, are you eating the right foods for your body? Are you serving them the right foods for their body? Are you working out? Do they see you working out? Or do they see you taking your body seriously? Do they see you stimulating your mind? Are you just a vegetable in front of the TV? Or are you growing as a person, digesting materials that make you grow as a person? If you say you believe in God, do you go to church? Do you read your Bible? Do you pray with them? See, all of these things take discipline. You're not just going to get up one day and do them. You know, are you a woman or man of your word? Can they trust what you say to be set in stone? If mom or dad said it, I know they're going to do it. You know, I can keep going with this list, but due to time, I don't want to carry too far on this, but you get the gist of this. Look around right now. We've got an entire society of people with no self-discipline. Everybody thinks it's just how I feel. That's not going to work. That doesn't work. You can't be successful with that. I spent this past week with kids, helping parents in Charlotte with kids who had no self-discipline, and they look at me like, how did my child end up in trouble? Really? And then where did they learn that from? You. Remember, behavior is learned. All behavior is learned. So anything that you can see in the external world that someone demonstrates has been learned. We just don't do it. So if I used to teach for many years. And our joke would be, if you've seen the mother, you've seen the child. If you've seen the father, you've seen the child. And if you've seen the child, you've seen the parents. That's true. So if I see a child with no discipline, yeah, I know mom or dad does not have any either. And then with this whole thing, now we have the custody battle. So now we have a child caught in the middle. We have two parents trying to buy love and affection from the kid, and nobody showing any discipline at all. Or we have one parent trying to destroy the other parent through the child, and who gets destroyed? It's the child. How many times have I seen this played out, not only in my classroom, but in every single family that I end up working with, either as a consultant or as a pastor. All right, so self-discipline. So let's look at this. Love, self-discipline. Now, noggin scratcher, what else would be important if you and I were sitting across the table from each other and you'd come in to see me and you said, hey man, what's it going to take for me to be a really good single parent? And then I'd stare at you, and what would I do? This is how I do everything. What do you think? Sometimes I'm being smart, but sometimes we've never taken the time to think through things because we don't have any self-discipline, and we just want somebody to solve our problem without any effort from ourselves. I get a lot of that. So what do you think is next? It's self-discipline, you got love, what else? I'll help you. It's hard work. Hard work. What is the old saying? It's a cliche, but man, it's true. The only time you find a hard work before success is in the dictionary. True. Can't be successful without hard work. My dad instilled in my brother and I hard work. How? Well, we had to be out in the field by daylight, right? So Dad would at least feed us before we went, but he would wake us up pre-dawn, and I told my dad one time, I said, I don't feel like getting up. He didn't say a word. My dad had big hands. He just reached in the bed, grabbed me by the foot, yanked me out of the bed, feet first. My head hit the side of the bed. And then he looked down and he goes, we're leaving in 5 minutes. That was the last time my father ever had to talk to me about getting out of bed. What was he trying to instill in me? Hard work. You can't have something for nothing. You got to go work for it. You got to really invest into it. You got to have it. If you're a farmer, that's hard work. You got to bale hay. You got to go handle all the animals, whether you want to or not, man. I remember out there before school, you got to go out and chip all the blocks of ice out of everybody's water bucket or trough with a sledgehammer, and then fill them back up, knowing by the time you get back home from school, what's it going to be? Because this was 60s and 70s. It was a cold spell then. So I knew I'd have to go get that same sledgehammer and bust that block of ice again. And I have to do that 3-4 times a day because everybody would be out there going, trying to lick ice, and it wasn't working. So, and then we had every animal I think old McDonald had. So had to feed everybody, make sure everybody's warm, make sure everybody's in the barn, get all the hay out, you name it. Then on top of the crops, everything we did. Now, I'm not saying that to be, the way I grew up was fabulous, man. Out in the middle of the country, out in the middle of nowhere, where we could do whatever we wanted to and have fun. Are you kidding me? But it was great. But you understood that there were a lot of mouths depending on you. Even if you just have a dog, that dog's dependent upon you to take care of him or her. So it takes hard work combined with the discipline. I know as an adult, I was very thankful for what got instilled in me from my dad and my grandparents. It was, regardless of how long I have to work and how tired I am, the job still has to be completed. And as an adult, as a teacher, as a coach, as an employee, as a business owner, I can tell you there's been many days to where I did not see the bed for 48, 72 hours. Just powered right through. Because I knew that I had to get the job done. And then I think about the military. Cold, tired, and hungry is how you do everything. And there's a lot of days where those guys don't sleep 4, 5, 6 days. If you look at SEAL training, Ranger training, you see what they go through. That's being a parent. Once you're a parent, once that baby comes home, you feel like you're in Navy SEAL training. You're cold, tired, and hungry. You've probably been puked on more times than you can count. You've maybe gotten 20 minutes of sleep every 3 hours, if that. You can always see, when I was teaching, you could always see the moms or dads come in at school, and they've got throw up on this side where they tried to wash it off. And the baby never throws up on you at the best time. It's normally when you're either going in the door, you've just gotten dressed up, and then it comes. At school, we'd just be like, hey man, we got this. Go change shirts, we'll handle this. It's just part of it. But if you're not hardworking and you don't have discipline, you're not going to steal the discipline and hard work in the child. And therefore, the child's going to be very unsuccessful. Again, let's look at millennials, Y, and Z. Okay, if you don't know what that is, look it up on the internet. It's the last three generations. Each generation's gotten more useless as we go. Their behaviors. And then I go around and interview kids that are Zs now. What do you want? What do you want to get out of life? And the number one reply I get right now is, I want to be famous. If you would have asked us back in the 70s, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an astronaut. Astronaut, nurse, doctor, horse trainer, hunter. Jacques Cousteau was another thing I wanted to be. It wasn't famous because I understood that there were headaches that came with that. I want to be rich, but I don't want to be famous. Now, why do kids want to have fame? It's so fleeting. Any of my friends that are famous, the limited fame I've had, it's fleeting. It doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't bring you a whole lot of joy. Now, money can fund your misery while you're looking for the fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's temporary. Everything's temporary. If you don't have the hard work, if you don't have the love inside you, if you don't have the purpose, if you don't know who you are, that will destroy you. You can look at lifetime after lifetime after lifetime that was destroyed by people that got to the top of the mountain but didn't like it. Look at Steve Perry. One of my favorite groups, Journey. I recently watched his Dan Rather interview, and it was really sad. Such a talented guy, but such a tortured person. Never met Steve. I've met several other folks, but not Steve. And then I met Jeff Tate with Queensryche. One of the nicest, most wonderful guys I think I've ever met, and the Sarzo brothers. Just super guys, just fun to chat with. Understood where they were going. Jeff loves his wife. I was talking to the other guys, and they love their wives, and they love where their career's going. Tell of Two Cities there. They got who they were. So as a single parent, you know who you are. You're full of love and joy for the kids. You have displayed self-discipline combined with the hard work. See, if you have those three things will get you through the rest of life. If you don't have those three things, you're going to really struggle. I try to keep this show simple. You know, I do a 2 to 3 day seminar on this. There's no way I could give you everything that I know in my head, but I do know what works. Our youngest right now is in his 20s. And he's since come back, all the stuff we did with him, he's like, thanks. He's got multiple jobs. He likes his career. He didn't want to go to college, but he knew he wanted to own properties. He wanted to be in the real estate business. He liked day trading stocks. He liked cash as a child. And he said, just get me ready for that. Give me the tools I need to do that. And that's what I want to do. That's what he's doing now. He's doing everything that he wanted to do when he was a little boy now in his 20s without a college degree, and he's doing well. Why? He had love from us, love from self. He had discipline. He had hard work. He was ready to go. And then you add in with the discipline, focus. You've got a vision of who you are. See, you lay that down with them. It's never too soon to talk about your kids' future with them. You always want to do everything to the future. Why? Because they're not always going to be with you. I know a lot of helicopter parents who want to hang on to their kids. Stop. They need to be independent of you, not dependent on you. They need to see you being strong so they'll be strong. But the strong can't be fake. You can't fool kids. Kids know when you're a liar. And they get really angry when you lie to them. Be fair with them. I always tell parents, if you're fair and you tell them up front consequences, they're bad or good, they just are actions that are determined from another action. So if you determine the consequences up front and you're fair, nobody can complain. All right, hope this has helped. I wanted to keep this short today. We're running on 20 minutes now. But if you have any questions, send me an email, problem@wyppodcast.com. Or if you want to go over to our webpage, got some resources for you, wyppodcast.com. So problem@wyppodcast is how you reach me. Also subscribe, go over and subscribe. Share with somebody who you might know needs this. Hey man, how many of us know a single parent that's struggling? I run into one everywhere I go, it seems like now. Grocery store, big box store. I was at a hotel this week, ran into some. Everybody's got questions for me because they've seen my podcast or heard me on the radio, and they'll go, can I ask you a question? Normally that means I'm going to ask it anyway. So if you see me out in public, you want to ask a question, have at it, man. I'll be glad to answer it. All right. So thanks for tuning in. You can always go by our YouTube page, check out everything, check out all our resources. And if you want to look me up as a pastor, go by our website, encounterchrist.org. All right. I'm Scott Farrell. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Sweet and